my big sister, Stacey.
And this is Sister Social Call. Hey, Sissy.
Hi, sister.
Happy day after your birthday. How was it?
Oh, I had an excellent birthday. It was 10 out of 10, I'm going to say.
Okay, great.
It was really awesome. A few things. I had a really great birthday. Well, actually, I've had a really great week of celebrating my birthday, I think. So it's been great. I got a little bit spoiled by some people, including you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and today, even after day after my birthday, people still bring me presents to work.
Oh, that's exciting.
So the birthday was fantastic. It was honestly one of the better ones I've had in a long time. So it was really great.
Awesome. Well, we want to welcome all our listeners back to Sister Social Call and say a very special hello to all of our new listeners.
Well, welcome and hello to everybody. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Last week on the pod, we celebrated Chrissy's birthday by our usual tradition, which is we ask the number of questions to each other that corresponds to our birthday. So I asked Chrissy 44 questions for her 44th birthday. And there were a lot of hard questions in there this time. And one of the questions was about something we believed in our 20s that is totally false or we don't believe in now. And Chrissy's response was age. That response and that topic really made me want to dig a bit more into this subject and figure out or discuss what other things we believed in our 20s to be true that doesn't really apply to us anymore. So sis, why don't we start a little bit more about age, your belief in age, how that's changed over time.
Well, when you're young, I think everybody listening to the podcast can attest to this, but when you're young, you think your parents are so old. It doesn't even matter if your mom had you when she's 16 and you're just like, you just think they're old, right? Like you just have this in your head. And then as you grow up, there's like at certain ages, you think you should be at 20, you should be at this point in your life. And at 30, it should look like this. And at 40, it should look like this. And this is what you kind of get in your head when you're younger, right? And so I think as I've gotten older, well, that is totally out the window. And yeah, I think that just the belief of age is truly just a number. Yeah, it doesn't really define who you are. You don't need to be at a certain spot by a certain time. Just, live your life. And so, yeah, I think my whole life is like, oh, when I get to this age, I should be doing this. And when I get to this age, I should be at this point. And then those times have come and gone and I've surpassed some of the things that I thought I should be doing. And then I haven't necessarily met some of the goals I thought I would have gotten to. But, it's just one of those things where you just realize you can have the best laid plans, but they don't always necessarily go that direction. Because other things come up and other things happen. And so I think, when you're young, you just have these like this picture of what age is and how, like what old is. And then all of a sudden you start to creep up that ladder and you're like, oh my gosh, that's really not that old. Wow. We're in our 40s. I just turned 44 and I think I'm just getting to the best part of my whole entire life. And I think, well, this is certainly not old, even though when I was younger, I was like 44 is pretty dang old.
I feel perpetually 26 years old. I have felt the same age since I convocated from university. Other than physically, there's certain things that have obviously changed in my body, but my spirit, I feel, is very much about a 26-year-old.
That's pretty young.
I feel like 40 is the new 30. But you know what I think does age people? And I don't mean this in a bad way. I think kids age people, and not because they're stressful. They are stressful. But I think they're just a constant barometer of how old you are getting, because you have these little tiny babies and then before you know it, and like in a blink of an eye, they're graduating from high school. They're just constantly reminding you that time is going by so fast and we don't have those markers around us.
But here's the thing. I don't personally have my own children, but I've got salon kids and I have done some of their hair for their whole entire school, because I know I've had the salon for 13 years. So I've done some of these kids' hair for the entirety of their school life, like elementary and high school. That's a sobering thing for me.
Yeah, I guess so.
And so while I don't have children, I definitely can feel that a little bit. Like I just in the salon, because I've seen kids grow up from kindergarten all the way to grade 12.
Like they say, the days are long, but the years are short.
I don't even think days are long either anymore. Every time just goes by fast. I see people really hit their stride, especially because I deal with people so closely, but at such different times in their life that really age is, like I said, age is truly just a number. But it's really been interesting to see that there is no time frame in life where people should be at certain times. People are constantly evolving and growing and changing and adapting and exploring and whatever at any age and stage in life. And it's just that's truly opened my eyes up more than anything. It's just to see like, yeah, really anything is possible at any age if you want it to be. I've also seen the other side of the coin where people live unhappily, unhealthily, don't necessarily have good relationships in their life. They're not necessarily maybe well mentally, and they could be just our age, but come across as maybe 20 years older.
Yeah.
So lifestyle, I think, really impacts a person and their age and their mental clarity and all that stuff too. So while I think people can also be young by the number, but old as far as like your physical body goes, your health, your mental health. So I do believe that really looking after yourself is pretty much the key. Don't worry about the number, but take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's one of probably the most inspiring things about living out here in the mountains, because it affords a very healthy, active lifestyle just by virtue of where we live and the access to recreation. And so we do see a lot of people that are in their late 60s, 70s, and 80s busting their butts still up mountains regularly. And whether it's skiing days or it's hiking or biking, like those people are incredibly inspiring because they're still doing all the activities at their age. It's great.
Well, and I think that's the thing, people choose to, like, especially the mountains there, like people move there because that's their lifestyle. And while I don't live in the mountains, I live out at the lake. Again, I mean, there's kind of two sides of the coin out here. Very active people, and then like a really, I call it the vortex. There's also like that kind of party hardy culture out here too, because we live in a resort community, and so there's a little bit of everything. Same was in Canmore, right? When I lived in the mountains out there, same thing too. You're like, you have the access to all this great outdoor recreation, but then there's also like the other side of it too, where you're at a resort community, and there is still the other side of that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's inspiring. I think the same thing out here. I see all kinds of people at all different ages and stages of life that are extremely active. I'm really inspired by that. But yeah, for sure, when in the 20s, there's a lot of, you do think about age a lot, and then all of a sudden you start aging a bit more, and then you realize you spent too much time worrying about what should be happening at certain ages, and that almost kind of leads me into my next what I was thinking about for my next little topic. I think in my 20s, one thing that I really truly believed as well was that at certain times in your life, you should have hit these milestones, like, or in your 20s, it's like, I should be starting to have it all figured out. Like, that's kind of what I felt in my 20s, which I was far from it. But I think that was part of it. I felt this pressure to almost like, I should have gone to school by now. And then, of course, you see people around you that are, convocating university, and they're starting careers and anyways. And I'm like, I should probably have it figured out. And now as I've aged, and now that I'm now that I'm here, I'm just like, in 2 weeks, I'm going back to university, and I'm going to try, do something different. And I'm just still figuring it out. And that, I think, is a really beautiful thing to have overcome and seen past, because that's limiting, I find, where it's like, oh, you should be at this point by this point in time. It's like, says who, but I did feel that in my 20s.
Well, I really can't wait for you to go back to school to meet students that are 19 and 20 and 21 years old who are grappling with this. You'll be the wise old lady in your classes that'll be like, I'm just still figuring it out. Like, give yourself a break, go with grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, university is full of all kinds of ages and stages of life, but
I'm really excited for you to go back to school, but it is something that I've questioned over my career has been, should have I done an arts degree? I don't know if that was the best use of my time. Obviously, I've made a very good career out of what I've achieved. And there are arts degrees that you need to complete your psychology degree to carry on to, if you ever want to be licensed and be part of a governing body, you have to do that. But like for me, I had a sociology degree. My attitude towards higher education, I feel like has probably broadened quite a bit. There are so many other ways for lifelong learning that's not necessarily a traditional go to university and you get a degree and you go and get a career trajectory. So that I think has really changed in my life too.
Since you were in university, sis, I think technology and information has blown up since that time, right? So we have access to all kinds of resources, education, alternative education, anything. We have access to learn almost anything or anything and everything in any type of learning situation. So not necessarily in the university setting. They're offered everywhere, online, in person. It's actually quite unbelievable how much we can learn if we want to on anything, because it's just out there. Even when I went to university before, I didn't go to university because I wanted to. I felt the pressure that that's what I should have been doing. So, but now in hindsight, I know, like I've learned far more in taking classes outside of university on my own than I did in university. Not that I put a lot of time into university, but you can learn so much, right? It's just, but when we were younger, a degree meant a lot more than it does now.
Yep, I would agree.
So that's kind of something I was pondering a little bit today in between my clients, just thinking about that, like how, you think that you have to have it all figured out. And then all of a sudden you're just like kind of laughing at yourself because it's just like, I'm still figuring it out, Do you have anything else, sis, that comes to your mind of things that you believed in your 20s and don't believe are true now?
Yeah, there's one more that I think politics has changed for me over the past couple decades, for sure. This is not a political podcast, so I'm not going to talk about my political views, but I worked at the Ledge in Saskatchewan. I was intimately involved in the political theater, and I got to see politics really up close. And so I can see through political rhetoric and speaking notes really fast. And it doesn't matter, left, right, center, it doesn't matter. And I just know from many, many years of being in that environment that the truth lays somewhere in the middle, usually in a very gray area. And it's pretty much up to me to figure out my position on those pieces. And I think when I was younger, I was much more entrenched in a certain position. But as I've gotten older, I've had to expand my my thinking around certain political topics. I think I have a much broader perspective now, and that has changed quite a bit in the since my 20s, for sure. Any other ones for you, sis, that you don't believe or that you find absolutely laughable now?
I know that I have very different beliefs now in like what's important in life and what is not. Like, do you start to realize, and then of course, then you start to experience some hard times in life or like loss, and then your perspective on life really does change, like what you want in your life, the people you want to spend it with, choices that you're making, because you start to get more life under your belt, like you experience more things. So then as you age, pretty much, I mean, there's definitely core things that I believed in my 20s that are probably still big beliefs of mine, but you really start to really value life. And like, I mean, I remember that's when John's mom and dad died. I had no concept of up until that point. Like I just, kind of was like, oh, we have forever. Like we all have forever, like we have a whole lifetime. And then, his parents died in the early 50s. And that was a real, like, holy, we really don't have, like, we think we have all this time, but perhaps we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that I would not have learned that had I not experienced that situation. And then that gave me a whole different perspective on life and truly living and experiencing it to your fullest, because 50 is that they die. I think his mom died at 52. So that's 8 years from the age I'm at right now. I think his dad was 54. So that's a bit sobering, when you think about things like that. It's like, and that, I mean, I know that was like, you're just cruising through your 20s thinking you got everything, got all this time in the world, and then you're hijacked by something like that. And then that puts into perspective, it's just like, wow, okay, maybe I need to think about like what I'm doing with my time and my energy. And of course, I didn't think about that right away, but working through that in my life, then I realized like, oh, like, you have to spend your time doing what you love and with people that you love, because things can change in an instant.
That's exactly the journey, or the lesson I learned with our friend Nick's passing, was that because he passed away at 34 with a couple of very young children. And that was a real aha moment also. His was a tragic farm accident. And so it was very sudden. And so like life can just change on an absolute dime.
Yeah. And I was always really, like, that rocked my world. But you know what? I really believe now that was a bit of a gift to me, actually, to be able to experience that and to really, truly learn to appreciate life a lot more, and to appreciate my days and to appreciate that time isn't necessarily unlimited. It gave me a perspective that I would have not ever had, and maybe would have taken time a little bit more for granted, which I don't do that. I don't take time for granted. I'm like, maximize the time. But consequently, that experience happening made me live in a bit of a state of urgency, I think. But I've actually been working through that I was working through that with my women's group and with Christine, like that constant living in urgency. And I'm really not feeling that too much anymore. Is there anything in your 20s that you still think the same, sis?
It's more of a value than it's hard truth. I imagined a very stable relationship with him in our 20s when we started dating. And here we are nearly 27 years later. Like, it's still rock solid, but like, that's a value. It's not something that I was like, this is what I believe today. And it changed over 25 years. It was just, this is my value system.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed at all. That I do know. Because we're just still humming right along, the two of us. But anyhow. All right. Well, why don't we move on to our peaks, pits, and plans then?
Yeah, let's do that. Why don't you start us off?
Okay. Well, pits, I don't have any. Peaks, I really hunkered at home this past weekend and cooked a lot. And that was really heart fulfilling for me. I guess because I was away working in Kamloops for 8-9 days, I just still felt like I wasn't in my regular routine. So just to be in my house, in my kitchen, even though it was hot out and I felt like I should be outside doing things, but my heart needed to be in my kitchen. And so I made an amazing dinner, an amazing Indian dinner. It was probably the best butter chicken I've ever made. It was amazing.
Awesome, sis.
Yeah. I started a new job this week, like a very part-time casual job at Kicking Horse Coffee. So that's always fun and exciting to do new things and learn new things. I'm in the staging area, so I'm moving coffee beans and not in front of a computer. So it's very opposite to what I do every single day in my usual work. So that's been good for my brain and for my body. And another peak, I'm starting to get some things sorted out for the fall, which is pretty exciting. Sean and I are headed to Calgary in a couple weekends. There's a concert he's going to with our friend. And on our way, we're going to stop at Everwild and have a little couple hour session at the hydrotherapy spa. So that's great. You all know that's my fave. And then there's the Rundle Mountain Lodge has these great programs on their shoulder seasons. They have these different themed weekends. One weekend they have like a puzzle weekend. Sometimes they have a craft weekend. But the weekend that I'm interested in coming up is a yoga weekend. And they all in the same weekend, there's also a breath and release themed courses. So my friend Sharisa, who is Sean's boss's wife, and I are going to go to Canmore and spend a weekend doing, well, I'm going to do the yoga and she's going to do the breath and release courses. And they're like super affordable. They're only $250 a person for a couple nights in Canmore. And there's always like hiking involved and like a welcome little reception.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but now you got to pay for your hotel room on top of that.
No, that includes
your front door.
I know, it is an incredible deal. $250 for the hotel. They have a welcome reception, like appies. Then you have like, I'm just going to read what the yoga
This sounds amazing. Like maybe, I mean, I'll be busy with school, but wow.
Okay. So this is my itinerary for $249. Friday night.
Okay.
7 till 8:30, wine and cheese. 8:30 till 10, fireside social. Okay. 8:30 till 10:30, continental breakfast. 9:30 to 10:30, happy flow yoga. So an hour yoga session. Opt-in add-ons, hiking. So there's a few different hike choices. And you just have to get your own way to the trailhead. And then Sunday is another yoga session and continental breakfast. And that includes your accommodations and all of that.
That's awesome. That is excellent. Like if there's a really good one, I would probably come to it. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I wonder if my friends in Canmore know about how great this is. Staycation in Canmore.
And there's so many different themes. So go follow Rundle Mountain Lodge, folks.
Yeah.
And check it out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then this week, Mom booked her trip out here for Thanksgiving. So like, I'm really excited about how fall things are shaping up for the fall. So that was some peaks from this week, or all these like little plans coming together.
Yeah.
And then as for plans for this week, I think not much again. More food prep, just in the kitchen, staying close to home. I do have to work standby for my real adult job, like my full-time job. So it could be a busy weekend doing work also, but I got to be close to home.
Excellent.
So that's what I got going on. How about you, sis?
Okay. Well,
any pits?
I have a little bit of a pit, but as we were recording, I saw that it might be resolved. So my pit was that I got this text message today from the sales guy at Toyota telling me that my car was going to go into production on the 20th of September.
Just into production.
Yeah, but so then I messaged him back and I said, Jason told me that my car would be arriving middle of September, not just going into production, because he said it's going to go into production. Then after production, it takes 3 weeks to a month to get here. So now we're looking at like November probably for this freaking car. And I was like, so I just text him back and I said, Jason told me it would be here mid-September. Like, what are we talking about? The same car? Like, what's going on here? So then as we're recording, I just seen a text message come up from him and he says, you're right. And all day today, I just had this feeling in my stomach. Don't worry about it. Call them tomorrow if you don't hear back from them. Anyways, but yeah, so then I just got a message. So that was kind of my peak is that, or my pit is that that I got that message and I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm driving this big truck, cost me $200 to fill it. Like I'm not super interested in driving that to university for too many days in a row. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it's all good. So no real stressing, but that was a bit of a pit. Anyways, my peaks. I have all the peaks. I got all the peaks happening this week. Okay. So I guess, yeah, I cut the rancher's hair. Went for coffee with him. Hot dog happy hour was a grand success. It was so much fun. Then like friends and neighbors, like that's who came over and it was just like, it was so fun. It was just joyful. Everyone was just having a good time and just so happy to be there. Kids, adults, my uncle, like
getting down on a hot dog.
Getting down on the hot dog. But then of course, like I told everybody, don't bring anything, just bring your own drinks. Like, this is super casual. Hot dogs, just if you're hungry, they'll be like, just snack on one, whatever. And of course, everybody brings something. And there's bags of chips, and there's veggie trays, and there's desserts galore, and there's 5-cent candies, and then there's freaking bags of ice, and it just like nobody comes with nothing ever, which is just, I don't know, it's just all you know, we can really overcomplicate things sometimes, and it's just like, you know what, hot dog, call it hot dog happy hour, and the next thing you know, we have this great little deck party going on that was supposed, like, it's just casual but like awesome. It was so much fun, and everybody's just happy and joyful, and I'm just, oh, it was great.
You had great decor for the hot dog happy hour.
I just got a little shit off Amazon, but it was like, I don't know, $25 or something for all that junk. And anyways, so
it really elevated the spirit of joyfulness and fun.
Yeah, I really did.
Chrissy had a banner that said, "It's a bad day to be a hot dog." That is so funny.
Yeah, it's just a good time. And then Brianna and Higgins, they come over. They just got off the boat. They come over, and their little guy, he's just 4 months old, and he comes wearing a onesie with hot dogs on it, and his dad has a beer koozie with a koozie on it that was like beans, like wieners and beans. Like, so his was like this. Yeah, I freaking love that shit. Like, that was awesome.
People are really getting into the spirit themes of hot dogs.
I was gonna get a 6 foot tall hot dog with the face out so people could get their pictures taken with that hot dog. I think I should have had that.
Yeah, for sure.
Next year. It's gonna only escalate. And I was like, I should get a hot dog name tag because not everybody knows everybody. I didn't, because I was like, I don't know how many people are gonna come. And then honestly, every single person that like maybe with the exception of like 5 people, but everybody came. Like, I was just like, oh, okay, this is a good time.
I think Tex needs a hot dog costume.
Oh my gosh, you're right. He does. For next year, I'll find him a hot dog. At Halloween, I'll look for one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, and then, so that was on Sunday. And then, my birthday was on Tuesday, which was yesterday. And I'm just going to tell you guys that I had one of the best birthdays, as I said earlier, that I've had in a very long time. And it was just like, you know, my family's around. I have really great company. I was very spoiled by my family. My sister, Stacey, she sent me yesterday, gift cards to the University of Regina bookstore so I can go buy my books, and a Staples gift card. Like, how thoughtful is that?
Yeah, go buy yourself a 5-star binder and some fancy pens. And
I was planning on doing that, so that's excellent. I was planning on doing that this weekend.
I loved going back to school shopping for new school supplies.
Well, I'll see what I come up with at the old Staples with my card. So thank you for that. And then, you know, like, I've been showered with gifts. Like, I got flowers, and I got chocolate, and I got Manitou Mineral Springs salts, and I got a whole like gift bag of like Kelly gave me chocolates and a notebook and pens because I'm going back to school, and then today Christy brought me homemade protein balls and cheese ball mix, like just like cool little things. I don't know, like, you know, everyone's just so kind and awesome. And so this birthday was really special for me, actually. It really, really was. I golfed, went for breakfast, just like it was just a really special day. I'm glad I took it off. It was beautiful here. My uncle's on holidays. So, this is another peek. Uncle Roger helped me hang the sign at the salon, the one for the metal sign. So we got that job ticked off. So anyways, I can't say enough. Like, I've had a really awesome week. It's been lovely. So my plans for this coming week, here, it's Mom's birthday on Friday. So I will be heading to Regina to go to a Costco shop with her. And then we're going to go to Caraway Grill for supper. So we're going to do that, which will be nice. And then, Saturday, like, I'm going to record a YouTube video and just do some lifey stuff because I've kind of been on the go the last little bit. So I just need to get caught up on that. But I mean, if it's hot out, I might send a message to my women's group girls and be like, let's just hit the beach for a couple hours because we're running out of time. So we'll see. And then Sunday, brunch with Kelly, because she came to the hot dog happy hour, but I wasn't able to really hear about her trip to Europe. So I want to hear about that. And then Matt messaged me yesterday and said, should we go golfing on Sunday? So that might be a thing, perhaps.
That's exciting.
Yeah, maybe we'll go golfing. Me, Kelly, Matt. We'll see. I got to talk to Kelly about that. I'm like, is that too much? But I still have one more weekend before school starts to keep my poop in a group. But I'm kind of thinking I'm going to be sliding in, like coming in pretty hot to school. Like I'm not really feeling that I'm that prepared, but whatever.
I think that's probably most people's feeling about back to school is sliding in pretty hot, sissy. Like, I think that like, think of all your families with their kids going back to school. It is a busy, September is always so busy as people get back to their routine and getting their kids into sports and coming off of summer, which is out of people's normal routines. I don't know. I feel like everybody's coming in so hot into school always.
Okay, well, I think I'm just part of that then. I'm just really feeling that. And I'm also just trying to like really soak in the last bits of August. I know that we can have a really beautiful September, but September is going to change. Like things are going to change drastically for me come September. So just gotta kind of get in the mode. And then, on Monday, Montesaurus has to go in and get, he's got to go meet his new vet. So he's going to get some shots and then we're going to get him dialed in so he can get his balls taken off. And he needs them. Like he's wild. He's unreal. Like he's such a character. And then, so I'm going to take him to Lakewood Vet because Brianne works there and I just want to support that clinic. So I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast. You guys know the drill. If you guys love the podcast, share it with the people you know and love. Honestly, the more that you guys share the podcast and comment and, give us a review and all that good stuff, the more it helps our podcast get pumped out to more viewers and listeners and all that good stuff. So if you guys can do that and you want to, that's amazing for us and we'd appreciate it. Otherwise, if you guys want to find us on social media, you can find Stacey on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can find myself, Krista, on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can find Sisters Social Call on Instagram. That is going to wrap it up for us.
Love you, sissy.
Love you too, sis.